I went into labor on Sunday morning. When he was out, the pediatrician, Dr. Keating, told us that he's got an unlivable skin disorder.
I have seen cases like this before, and in all these cases, the parents have rejected the children immediately.
I'm like, Lord, what is going to be the purpose, you know? What is going to happen?
Well, actually, the gynae noticed that there was something out of the ordinary with Mason during the pregnancy. And what they noticed was that he had some abnormalities of his hands and his feet that they couldn't quite clear up. And they also noticed that they couldn't make out his face as well as they would in a normal pregnancy.
They were telling us things like it might be a cleft palate, it could be Down syndrome, scary things. Let's just kind of hope for the best. It was difficult, a lot more difficult for Lisa and Jonathan more than anyone else.
I was in hospital for 4 days in labor. They tried to stop the contractions, but Mason was adamant. On the 4th day, they induced me, and a couple of hours later, he was born.
I called Jonathan, and he said to me, Mason was just born. But there is a problem, he's got a skin condition.
On presentation, all of us that were present at the delivery were very shocked to see what Mason looked like. We almost all simultaneously felt quite faint. The sister in charge actually took quite a while to recover from what she saw that day. Even when you are warned, you do not know what you are going to see. You cannot imagine it.
We saw Lisa when we walked into the room, and her face was just ghost-like.
It's like a blank. Like, I remember bits and pieces of shortly after Mason's birth, but it's kind of a blur.
It leads to these massive plates of skin forming on the outside of the body. These plates often lead to the loss of a limb or the loss of multiple fingers or toes. They lose an enormous amount of fluid through the skin where it has been fractured, so to say, because it is so hard. And if one were to compare them to a 3rd-degree burn wound, you wouldn't be far off.
And he gave him 1 to 5 days to live.
Lisa said to me, they're saying that he's only going to live for 5 days. He's not going to make it. The rest of the family came, and at that time it felt as if it was a funeral and not a birth of a child.
I think that was the most painful part.
I said to Lisa, would you mind if I go and see Mason? So I went to the neonatal unit, and there was Mason. And then I looked into Mason's eyes, and his eyes were wide open, and he looked as if he was penetrating my soul and penetrating my heart. And I thought, this child is going to live.
He is a child that was as tough as nails from the first day.
First time I saw his photo, it was just very scary because we don't deal with neonates that present as he presented. And then my heart melted because I could see that there's more to this case.
We were treated with so much concern, so much compassion. They just gave all the support, all the care. Rena would phone, she would check up and see what is happening, how Mason is doing.
And I could look at him and ensure that he's getting treatment holistically. He obviously needed a lot of treatment, a lot of care, a lot of different specialists, and that's been covered from Bonitas.
It amazed me that the doctors knew how to handle him. They had a place for him, they created a space for him. It was a safe haven for the first couple of weeks of his life.
I actually didn't once worry about the hospital bills. I knew that was well over R1 million for just his 5.5 week stay, and they covered all of that. They covered all the pediatrician costs, all the other specialists that Mason had to see, they covered all of that. So not once did we actually stress about money, which was nice.
I think at one stage his dad was holding down 3 jobs just to be able to afford his medical care. So without help from other people, Mason would have been lost to society. Everybody that's been involved, whether it's been the cleaners who were his best friends in the hospital, through to the doctors that were doing services for free, and then the companies that have donated not only creams, medicines and money, but also time, really. And I think that is what has made this a special little project, really, in that we have managed to help that little project become a fantastic human being.
I could dress him for the first time when he was 5 weeks old, so that's when we felt like we had a baby, a newborn.
The day that Mason left the hospital was actually one of the most important days in the existence of our unit up here, our neonatal unit. This was a little boy with 0 chance of survival in real terms, and I don't think anybody spared a tear when he left the hospital.
I'm not one that cries easily, but on his birthday, I think everyone was emotional. We didn't picture a first birthday for him. So having that and having all the people that were there, that was a part of his life and contributed in any way they could, was actually one really special moment. We invited doctors and nurses, and Renee from Bonitas was there.
It was definitely very emotional. I just loved him on my lap. Just to get that hug from this little man is just stunning, and that blowing a kiss and saying bye and that interaction, and then just such a joy, and that is just priceless. We'll always keep in touch because of his experience. We will always keep in touch.
He's a typical little boy. I mean, anything you'd expect from a toddler, he's that and more.
Mason loves unpacking cupboards. Mason loves exploring. He loves taking things apart.
Mason's always smiling, like he's a happy child. And that is just, you just can't help but to want to be a part of his journey.
I've been involved with neonatal ICU for the last almost 10 years, and this has been an amazing experience to see this little boy fight so hard, and despite all of his handicaps, which we would see as handicaps, to come out on top. And this little boy has really left his mark on the hospital and everybody that he sees, because he is just the definition of positivity.
He is a child who beat the odds that they did not give him. He beat all of them down anyway. He shows us how to live a happy life. He is an inspiration. That's what he is.
He's got such a special mom and a special dad. I'm just so thankful, and I'm so humbled that I can be part of their lives, and especially Mason's life.
When Mason was born, I never pictured us going on family outings, going on holiday, doing the normal thing, painting with him, you know, anything you would do with a toddler. I never pictured us doing that the first couple of days. But nowadays we do all of that, and we try and encourage him to do as much as what the average kid would do. So he's living his life as a normal kid, and he's happy in his life, and that's all we want as parents.